Welcome to Daily Dose of Satanism, your podcast to get your daily dose of Satanism. I'm your host, Satan Wolf. I'm an author of Satanic books, as well as my blog, which you can check out at satanwolf.com. It's 100% free. Now, we do have some really cool merchandise that you can purchase, from books to clothes and accessories. There's a wide selection of both satanic and non-satanic products to choose from for those who got a rebellious sense of style. While we always appreciate your support, this is the best way to support the show. You can also give us a like or a share or a subscription at any one of our multiple platforms, from Facebook to Spotify. Thank you very much and enjoy the show. Let's talk about a symbol that, for many, is the very face of evil itself, Baphomet. The popular image of a winged, goat-headed figure with a torch between its horns has been used for centuries to invoke fear and demonize those who lived outside the norm. But for us, this isn't a figure to be feared. It's a profound philosophical statement, a mirror in which we see a reflection of our entire worldview. Baphomet is not a Christian devil. It is a syncretic symbol created by the occultist Eliphas Levi in the 19th century, a figure that embodies the balance of dualities and the triumph of intellect. Let's break down its powerful symbolism. First, look at the head, a goat's head, an animal of defiance and stubborn independence, but also a symbol of Pan, the god of nature, lust, and the untamed self. The torch between the horns is the black flame of enlightenment, the light of knowledge and intellect that shines forth from the head of humanity. It represents our Gnostic belief that salvation comes not from faith in a higher power, but from the pursuit of knowledge. It comes from within. The pentagram on his forehead is the star of man, a symbol that places humanity at the center of the universe, not a god. Next, observe the rest of the body. Baphomet is a hermaphrodite, both male and female, a perfect union of opposing forces. This represents the philosophical balance between opposites, light and dark, good and evil, the spiritual and the carnal. We don't see these as warring forces, but as parts of a complete whole that must be embraced. The wings symbolize our ability to rise above dogma and preconceived notions, to ascend to a higher plane of understanding, independent of the herd. The upturned arms points to the heavens, while the other points to the earth, a gesture of as above, so below. For us, this means we are masters of both our mind and body, not slaves to either. We are fully realized individuals, not spiritual supplicants waiting for an ethereal reward. Finally, look at the phrase on its arms, Solve et Kegula. I can't read it and pronounce it. This is an alchemical reference that means dissolve and join together. In our philosophy, this means we must first dissolve the inherited beliefs and dogmas that were first forced upon us, the shame, the guilt, the false piety. Once we have cleared away all that nonsense, we can join together the pieces of our true authentic selves, constructing a personal philosophy and identity that is truly our own. Baphomet is the ultimate visual representation of the adversary. It teaches us that to be a complete human being, you must embrace your animalistic nature, your intellect, and the duality within you. This is not a deity to be worshipped. It is a mirror, a symbol of self-mastery, defiant individualism, and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. It reminds us that we are our own saviors. So if anybody had any misconceptions about that, there's actually an essay I wrote about Baphomet, and really it's more about the Knights Templar, but I do believe it includes in there a bit of history about the Baphomet. But just remember that the Baphomet is not this mean, scary devil. When you look at it, look into the symbolism, see what it really truly represents, and let it inspire a look into the black flame, or the black mirror of self-reflection, excuse me, and let it light the black flame of knowledge.
Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan. Daily dose of Satan.
Satanwolf.com.
Satanwolf.com.
So let's move on. We got a lot I want to talk about. I want to take a moment to address a point of frequent confusion for those new to our philosophy or not educated at all about it, and that's the difference between Satanism and Luciferianism. It's a crucial distinction, And I have a great respect for the fact that Luciferians use a different name for themselves. It helps avoid the kind of misrepresentation that we so often face. At the core, Luciferianism venerates the figure of Lucifer as a symbol of light, knowledge, and enlightenment. In their philosophy, Lucifer is the light bringer, the morning star. He is seen as a rebellious figure who brought forbidden knowledge to humanity, empowering them to think for themselves. This is a lot like our philosophy, and that's where the confusion can arise. But here's where the key difference lies, and it's the distinction that can be hard to wrap your head around. While our brand of Satanism is entirely atheistic, seeing Satan as a symbol of defiance and individualism, Luciferianism can be either symbolic or, in many cases, theistic. This means that a significant number of Luciferians believe in Lucifer as a literal spiritual being, to be revered or even worshipped. To me, and for us Satanists, that's where things get complicated. If you truly believe in a literal being, a higher power, or some kind of supernatural entity, then to me, you're not so different from a Christian who believes in a literal God. You simply traded one master for another. You placed your faith and devotion in an external force and rather than in yourself. That's the entire point of the adversarial path, is to be your own God and your own source of power and guidance. Believing in a deity, whether they are seen as good or evil, seems to undermine that very principle. Now, my research shows me that not all Luciferians are theists. Many do see Lucifer as a purely symbolic figure, an archetype for the pursuit of knowledge. For those of us who hold this philosophical view, their path is much closer to ours. They, too, are rejecting the dogma of traditional religion in favor of self-empowerment and intellectual freedom. This is why I have respect for the distinction they make within their name. It allows us to recognize our similar but not identical philosophies and avoids a lot of confusion. They are focused on the light-bringing aspect of the rebellious figure, while we are focused on the adversarial, self-empowered nature of the rebellious figure. The path shares a common starting point of defiance, but diverge on what the defiance ultimately serves.
It's now time for the
Satanic verse of the day.
Satanic verse of the day. I am your host, Satan Wolf. Satanic verse of the day.
Daily dose of Satan.
SatanWolf.com.
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 And now to our satanic verse of the day. Today's verse is number 214. It is a powerful lesson in mindfulness and respect. It reads, "Be mindful of the impact of your actions and words upon those around you. Unintentional irritations may be unavoidable, but deliberate annoyance is a mark of disrespect." This verse on the surface is about basic manners, but as everything in our philosophy, it's also about so much more. This is a verse about self-control, empathy, respect. It teaches us that our actions have consequences and that our words carry weight. The first part of this verse deals with the unavoidable, those unintentional irritations we all cause. We're human. We're imperfect. We might accidentally get on someone's nerves. We might make a mistake that affects someone else. The verse acknowledges this reality, but places the responsibility on us to be mindful of the impact we have. It's an encouragement to be aware of how we present ourselves to the world and how our presence affects the people in our lives. The second part, however, is where the true power of the verse lies. Deliberate annoyance is a mark of disrespect. As Satanists, we believe in the principle of doing no harm to others, that leaving us alone, basically, deliberately annoying someone is a violation of that principle. It is an act of aggression, a way of showing contempt for another person's time, energy, and emotional well-being, because it's designed to provoke without a clear confrontation. And unless somebody's done something to deserve your disrespect, then just don't do it. Simple as that. And I just want to add to this that, you've heard that thing people say sometimes, like to spell a word is like to cast a spell, like magic in words. There's power in them. And, supernatural BS aside, that's actually a really good analogy here, I think. Recognize that your words have power in them, just like a magical spell. Some of the biggest impacting moments of my life have been just because of simple words that somebody has said. A word can change the rest of your life, the rest of somebody else's life. The words that you say to people that you encounter every day, even in simple interactions. I mean, think about it. Somebody might be having the worst day of their life and come in contact with you and just simply in passing, and you have a choice. And your positive interaction with them might be what gets them through the day, whereas your negative interaction with them might be what pushes them over the edge. Let's get back to the show. One of the most common misconceptions about Satanism is that it's a philosophy of mindless hedonism, self-destruction. In truth, it's the exact opposite. If we are our own gods, then we have a profound responsibility to be the best versions of ourselves possible. We call this the principle of self-deification, and it's the ultimate expression of personal freedom. Satanism encourages you to get better at being you, and not for the sake of an external reward or a promised paradise. The purpose of self-improvement is to create a more capable, more resilient, and more fulfilled individual for your own sake. This is a path of constant work and relentless pursuit. It's about cultivating your skills, honing your mind, and strengthening your body, not to impress others, but to honor the one life that you have to live. Think of it this way. When we reject the idea of a king of slaves, we are also rejecting the idea of being a slave to our own weaknesses. It is a philosophy that encourages us to confront our fears and overcome our limitations. If you are afraid of public speaking, you are a slave to that fear. If you allow your temper to control you, you are a slave to your emotions. If you are intellectually lazy, you are a slave to ignorance. Satanism is a call to rebellion against these internal tyrants. The pursuit of self-excellence is a form of transcendence, not a spiritual one, but a psychological and carnal one. We transcend our former weaker selves. We transform from someone who reacts to life into someone who shapes it. We see life not as a test of faith, but as a project of continual mastery. Every book you read, every new skill you learn, every personal flaw you correct is an act of Satanism. It is a defiant act of self-empowerment. It is proof that you are not content simply to be, but that you are actively striving to become more. Our philosophy encourages us to be a masterpiece and progress, a testament to our own will and intellect. We are our own saviors, and therefore it is our responsibility to build our own salvation, one act of self-improvement at a time. As we wrap today's episode up, remember the journey we've taken from the defiant cry against the king of slaves to the ultimate embrace of personal power. Our philosophy is not about bowing to an external master, but becoming the masters of our own lives. We have seen how symbols like Baphomet are not idols to be worshipped, but reflections of our own potential, guiding us towards balance and self-realization. And we have understood that with this great freedom comes an even greater responsibility to act with purpose, to respect others, and to never deliberately provoke unless given good reason. It is a philosophy that calls for strength, intellect, and courage in a world that demands otherwise. Until next time, put not your trust in mortals or gods. True power lies within. May critical thinking forever guide your path. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in hell. Take this night our rightful gifts, and trespass not on passive pain. Lead us unto temptation, and deliver us from false piety. For this is thy kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
SatanWolf.com.
SatanWolf.com.
Daily dose of Satanism.